It's exciting to go exploring on a Brompton bike, and today we visited Heritage Acres, which is about 25 kilometers north of Victoria, British Columbia. It's a heritage park, about 29 acres, including buildings, artifacts, and a surprise folding ancestor to our Bromptons. Today we explored the park, and I'm glad that you're going to be able to come along and see some of the amazing artifacts and buildings from early Canada and early British Columbia. Here you can see one of the one-room early pioneer cabins that one can visit in the park. It would have been a one-room cabin made out of logs that would have been cut throughout British Columbia, because British Columbia is a forestry giant covered in trees. And you can see that while it was fairly primitive, it was quite comfortable with a wood stove and other amenities that would have made it fairly comfortable to live in. One of the other houses that one can find in the Heritage Park as we ride around was actually a steel house, and one could order in the early part of the 19th century steel houses. They were imported from both the United States and from Britain. You could mail order them. They were completely made out of steel, and you can see an example here on the right-hand side of one of the early steel houses. These would have been later than the log cabin that you saw, and you can see here that they had a much more luxurious life. There would have been a kitchen, there would have been bedrooms, there would have been sitting rooms, etc. And as we look through the house, you can see many of the early artifacts that are available. This room here contains many of the dolls and early clothing from the era. Here you would have seen the parlor with the woman of the house, fireplace, and a sitting room. Here's the kitchen, and what I found interesting about the kitchen was that people would eat in the kitchen, and it doesn't look a lot different than our kitchens today with stoves and tables to eat on. And of course, a telephone on the wall. Some of us remember even when telephones were on the wall. I may not remember one from this era, but I can certainly remember that. Also, we visited an early schoolhouse, and as an early educator, or an educator at one point in my many careers, I would have worked in a small school, perhaps not a one-room schoolhouse, but a schoolhouse nonetheless. While exploring the park, we came upon a fascinating treasure when we were visiting this one older building. You can see here it was full of many artifacts, including a number of canoes and kayaks, and it also included two vintage bicycles. The first one was a vintage bicycle from the early 1930s, and the second one was a fascinating find. It was a World War II folding bike, and we think of it as an ancestor to the Brompton. It was issued to Canadian paratroopers during World War II, made by the BSA Airborne Bicycle Division, sometimes called a parabike. It was developed in Birmingham, and it was issued to Canadian troops, who would strap it to their back as they were parachuting out of planes, and after parachuting they would take the two wing nuts, reattach the bike or unfold it, and then ride it into combat. The folding mechanism was quite ingenious. The bike weighed about 23 pounds, and it carried not only the paratrooper, but it also carried and was fitted with supports for carrying rifles. It was used during the Normandy invasion and was later used in the campaigns in the Netherlands. It's exciting to find something like this in a park, and we were thrilled to be able to revisit a tragic history, but also a history with a folding bike. After visiting the Heritage Park, we started back to Victoria. You can see us riding through Saanich. And here we're passing a new farmstead, or houses that were built by the side of the road. And you can see Ellen pointing out one of the beautiful gardens, but also the sculptures in the gardens, which are whale tails. And you can see a picture here of the whale tails and the beautiful garden in the spring. So we cycled our way home. We had a wonderful day exploring the surrounding area of Victoria, and we hope someday that you'll have a chance to come out and visit Victoria and Saanich and the Heritage Park at some time in the future. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video.